Mike Campbell, welcome to noise11.com. We began our Dirty Knobs conversation a couple of years ago when you were in Melbourne with Fleetwood Mac. We were talking about Dirty Knobs and the first album coming out. I can't believe it's just a couple of years down the track, 2 years down the track. We're already at album number 2, External Combustion. You're knocking them out like old school.
Well, it took 2 years, but yeah, we got, got to keep busy.
Well, External Combustion moves on from Reckless Abandon, I guess, in sound. Like the first record was a very raw sounding record. And, as you say, you've taken a couple of years with this one. Has there been more structure that's gone into the production of the new album?
A little bit, but I mean, it's still pretty raw, rock boogie stuff. But we explored some of the songs thematically and sound-wise and stretched it out a little bit for some more variety.
George Draculius, once again back with you. How far back do you two guys go? You must be great mates.
Yeah, we started working back in the Heartbreakers last DJ album, and we've been good friends ever since. And he's central to the Dirty Knobs. He's great. He knows how to get us in a good mood and make it fun for us.
And the band with Jason Sine, Lance Morrison, Matt Laug, you've been, consistent there, but Matt and, I think it's Matt and Lance go back to the Jagged Little Pill album, so they've been working as an entity for quite some time.
Yes, they have, and the Dirty Knobs are not a new band. We've been together 15, 20 years, between Heartbreakers tours, so we're well seasoned together.
Yes, I love the guests that you brought in here, particularly Ian Hunter. Like I was a huge Mott the Hoople fan, and to see Ian Hunter pop up on here was and what a great song too with Dirty Job.
How cool is that? Yeah, Ian. I was a big Mott the Hoople fan as well. I love his voice and his whole attitude. And his office contacted me to do some guitar overdubs on his new record, which I hope will be out this year, which the 2 songs I heard are phenomenal. And I did the overdubs and sent it back to him. And then I asked him if he would sing on our record. I didn't think he would, but he did. And he did a great job on the song Dirty Job. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think, back to those early Mott albums in the early 70s. He was the guy David Bowie gave all the young dudes to.
That's right. And David Bowie stole Mick Ronson from him.
Margo Price. Now, I've been a huge fan of Margo Price since her first album too, and to bring her in for State of Mind, she just fits perfectly, doesn't she?
She really does. It was such another miracle, really, that it happened by chance. Her and her husband came out to want to write songs together, and I was working on my record, so I said, would you step in the other room maybe and sing with me? And she graciously did. And really made the song so much better. She sang on 2 songs, actually. She sings a verse on the one you mentioned, and she sings some backup on this other song called Cheap Talk. Mm-hmm. And she's just a great person, great talent, really fun to work with.
Yeah, well, that song you just mentioned there, Cheap Talk, and I think another one, State of Mind. They're very old songs for you, aren't they? They've been kicking around since the 80s.
Well, you've done your homework. Yes, those 2 songs were on a analog demo reel that I've got closets of them, and I'm going through them painstakingly and trying to organize them. And those 2 songs came up from old tapes. Yeah, but over half the record is new stuff that I wrote. But I like those 2 songs. I'd completely forgotten about them till I heard them, and I thought, well, they ought to be on this record.
Isn't it amazing that you could have gems like that tucked away? Do you ever think of the fact that, sometime in the future when, like you're not around anymore, like 50, 60, 70, 80 years from now, they might find songs that they can use as the DNA to create something for the future?
That's funny. I have had that little fantasy cross my mind that some 100 years in the future, some little guy will open up a box and go, oh, look at this stuff. Look what we found. Let's see what this is, and go, oh, this is pretty good, It'd be like finding an old Beethoven symphony or something, I guess, nowadays.
Lightning Boogie is an interesting track because it's got piano on it. Dirty Knobs is not a band that has piano.
Very true, although we did have Augie Myers on our first album, do a little organ, and Benmont played on one song. And we had finished the song without keyboards, and Benmont was around. And I asked him, I thought it'd be a perfect song for him to play on. He came in and overdubbed for us.
Do you get together with Benmont very much? In fact, I actually did an interview with him when you had the movie out a few months ago.
Not a whole lot. Over the years, when we would tour, we would be together every day. And then we get off tour and we take our space from each other. And of course, with the pandemic, we haven't been able to hang out much. But I just saw him about 2 weeks ago. I did an interview with him, and he's doing good.
Mm. Well, you have 2 albums now, the first being Reckless Abandoned, and you're about to go out on tour. So does this set list get made up of album 1 and album 2, or how will you handle the Mike Campbell heritage when you put a set list together? Do the old songs still get a look in, or are you drawing a line and starting afresh?
Good question. We're actually calling this the Reckless Combustion Tour. So, we have 2 albums worth of material now to make a set. And we've been rehearsing, and we've got a set pretty well together. There's not much room for cover material because we want to showcase the 2 albums. But we have learned a handful of Heartbreakers songs that I co-wrote that we do really well. And those will pop up here and there.
With the Heartbreakers songs, there was only one song, I believe, that you sang lead vocal on, I Don't Want to Fight, from the Echo album. Is that the one and only Heartbreakers song that doesn't feature Tom on lead vocals?
Yeah. Well, I never sang back then because Tom was so good, and I was a little insecure about it, so I was able to just play guitar and support him with the writing and the guitar. And in this band, it's a chance for me to write those words and sing them the best I can. I'm learning to sing. To get, I'm not really a singer. I'm more of a stylist, I guess you'd call me. But I really enjoy it, and I'm getting more confident and comfortable with it now.
So does that song in particular, I Don't Want to Fight, does that now qualify as a Dirty Knob song?
No, I think we can let that one go to bed. We've got so many good new songs. I'd rather focus on the new stuff.
The first album, Reckless Abandoned, fuck that guy. Let's talk about the video clip for that one. I mean, the song just spoke to the moment, didn't it, with that that COVID walking down the street. But, what a brilliant song at a brilliant time, and gave us all a good laugh when we could best use it.
You're right. That title was suggested to me from Chris Stapleton when he was out during that album. We were doing some writing, and he said, I want to write a song someday called Fuck That Guy. And I said, yeah, I've said that before. Maybe do you mind if I work on it and have a go at it? He said, no, go ahead. So I threw it together in 5 minutes, as you said, as a laugh. And we got a really great track on it. We played it once in the studio. And then when they started talking about that was an important track in a video, I thought, well, maybe, I didn't want to be political. I mean, I did have some political ideas in mind, but I'm not going to go into that. But then I thought, well, who is the worst person that you want to say fuck that guy to? Would be, the COVID guy. So we made him into a person, and it turned out really funny.
The credit for the COVID guy is Seth Trump. Is that a statement, or is that a real name?
Nothing to do with that.
And Jeff Garlin, who features from Jeff Garlin, who many of us know as Jeff Green in Curb Your Enthusiasm. I'm surprised you weren't offered a cameo in the latest Curb Your Enthusiasm after using Jeff in there. He's one of the executive producers of the show.
I mean, Larry David is my hero. He is me, in another incarnation. And I went to see Jeff Garlin at a comedy store here in town, and I met him backstage, and he was a big fan of the music. And so when we were talking about who can we get, to be in the video, and we got Danny Trejo, and his son was directing it actually. And I just was throwing names around, and his name came up. And I said, well, give him a call, because, I had a nice conversation with him, and he agreed to do it. He's a funny guy.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I think I was reading somewhere where you said that in 40 years of Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, you were never offered a solo deal. Is that correct?
I never was, I may have been offered certain things, but I never pursued them. I wasn't interested. You know, the Heartbreakers was all consuming, and my songwriting with Tom was a very treasured relationship that I would not have wanted to compete with, you know. So I never pursued that. But, you know, I did the tour with Fleetwood Mac, and BMG approached me backstage after the show in Boston. And I wasn't really, you know, looking for a deal per se. And they said, what do you want to do? Do you want to do something? And I said, well, I've got this band. And so that was the first time I was actually offered a record deal, you know, but it was great. I didn't have to go look for it. It came to me, you know.
Fantastic. When I look at the credits of the albums that you've been on, have you ever had a day off?
Oh, yeah. I've had lots of days. I've raised 3 children over the decades.
So you've had 3 days off?
I don't, you know, it may look like a lot of sessions and this and that, but it's not that much. I mean, Benmont Tench, he's the session guy. He plays on almost every record that ever come out of LA. But I've always had a lot of time. I work at home a lot. You know, I write and record at home. And like I did the Johnny Cash stuff and this and that, a few things here and there. But I mostly kept to myself and the Heartbreakers.
There's one track on, I think it's the Bob Dylan Knocked Out Loaded, Got My Mind Made Up, which is actually Bob Dylan with Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. Was that the lot of you together in the studio making that song?
No, that was something the Heartbreakers had worked on. They recorded the track, not taking it too serious, really. We liked the groove, kind of a Bo Diddley groove. And Bob was around at the time, and he came in and said, well, you know, maybe I could come up with some words. I'll sing on this if we gave it to him.
That's a bit like how Stop Dragging My Heart Around came together, wasn't it?
These are just miracles when they happen, you know, like lucky, right place at the right time.
Well, being in the right place at the right time with Roy Orbison and the Mystery Girl album. California Blue, which is one of the songs you worked on, I put that down as one of Roy's probably top 3 songs.
Oh, thank you very much. I loved Roy, and I was so blessed to work with him. He was a wonderful person, and what a voice. I mean, it's interesting, you know, we'd watch him in the studio, he'd hardly move his mouth at all. And this big sound would come out, you know, it's like he just was gifted.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff. What's the story with you and Fleetwood Mac now? Will we see you back on the road, or was there anything recorded with Fleetwood Mac with you as a member of the band?
I would have recorded with them. I thought that that's what they wanted at first, but then I realized they had a tour commitment, which took, you know, us around the world. And after a year or 2 of that, we had a meeting at the end of that, and they were all tired. And they said, let's just take a few years off. Stevie wanted to do her own touring. And the other guys wanted to do and Christine maybe wanted to take a break and rest. And so we just left it open, you know, let's just everybody take a break and we'll see what the future holds. So there is no plans at the moment. I kind of doubt it at this point that they would want to do that again, but maybe they will. If they call me, I'll show up, but I'm busy with this right now, you know.
Well, I love this.
They're a great band. They're really fun to work with.
Well, the great thing about that tour too, you got the chance to work with one of our own down here, Neil Finn.
Mr. Neil. Yeah, we got along really well. He's a fine person too, a great writer.
When you were on stage performing I Got You and Don't Dream It's Over, did you know those songs before you got to perform them?
Way a long time ago, when the Heartbreakers run tour, the Split Enz opened for us once in Canada, and they had that song I Got You, and we thought that was really good at the time. Funny clothes, but they were a good band, and I've always liked Neil's voice. Yeah.
So hopefully we will see a Dirty Knobs down in Australia, because when I listen to these albums, they sound like they should be performed live. You're going to be giving that gift to America in March and beyond, 2022. Let's hope there's some Australian promoters looking at this now going, hang on a sec, we should get this guy down here for a Dirty Knobs tour.
I would love to. You know, we're starting at the bottom, starting over again, which is interesting for me, but I'm really excited about it. And it is a live band. And I would love to go back down there. We had a wonderful time down there. So I hope we get to bring the knobs down there in the next, within the next 2 years before I get too old to do it.
Well, I see you've got a Troubadour show coming up as well. That's going to be a special night, isn't it?
I love the Troubadour. I played there times, and we're looking forward to that. Yeah.
When was the first time you played the Troubadour?
Oh, the first time would have been a long back in the 70s, late 70s. I think we backed up a girl singer that was on Shelter Records, which is our first record label. And we backed her up and did a J.J. Cale song. But that wasn't the Heartbreakers. That was just me and Tom and maybe Ben. I don't know. Then, I played there a few times with the Dirty Knobs, and then the Heartbreakers have played there a little bit here and there. But it's a really historic place. I'm so glad it's still there. You know, a lot of clubs did not survive the pandemic, but that place did. I'm really glad.
Well, it's been a pleasure to catch up with you again, Mike. Loving the new album External Combustion, The Dirty Knobs, and thank you for being with us once again at Noise 11.
It's a pleasure. It really was. And thanks for your questions. Very insightful. And stay healthy and happy, and hope I see you.